How's everybody doing? My name is Alan Roberts. Thank you for joining me today. Today, we are going to go over a video by one Greg Doucette. For those of you that are going to jump in the comment section and hope that there's some sort of drama going on, I've only watched part of this video. I'm not saying I agree or disagree with anything yet because I'm going to do a video on it. But we're at a stage in society right now where I don't give a shit who is saying it. I don't give a shit who is talking about it. We need to be talking about weight loss and healthy ways to do it as much as humanly possible. So instead of, always having content be directed towards bodybuilding, those sorts of things, if Greg or anybody wants to make a video about how to lose weight, I will gladly critique it. I will gladly, give my thoughts on it. I am not going to say that I'm going to agree or disagree. I'm definitely going to be me. And no matter what the history is, I can be very honest. There has been things that he has said and done in the past that I have not agreed with. I am sure there's a billion things that I have said and done in the past that he does not agree with. This is not about me being friends with him or enemies with him or anything like that. So for those of you that are looking for that sort of video, this is not going to be it. I think this is a very important topic. His video is Why Are Fat People So Fat? I only watched a couple minutes of it because then I realized I wanted to do a critique of it. This is from this morning. If you have not already, go subscribe to his channel because I say that about everybody that watches a video where I talk about the person. You should go follow the people and make up your own minds about their content. So please do check his channel out if you don't already. He's got millions of subscribers. So if you're watching me and not watching him, I would be very surprised or have at least known who he is. But this is not about him. This is not about me. This is about this topic. So let's just move forward. This is Greg Doucette's video. We are just going to get straight to it. For what I saw in this video, Greg is talking at what I would consider a normal speed. So I did increase the speed up to a 1.25 because he's using much more of his like normal voice instead of his amped up voice, which many of us do. So please do understand that what you're about to hear is him at 1.25 speed off of this, because I do want to get through this. This is a 17-minute video. And I do tend to stop this stuff and talk a lot just to avoid copyright strikes. And I'm not saying he would copyright strike me. I'm just saying it avoids it. So here we go.
Mirror and say, what has become of me? Perhaps this day is for you. You're watching this video and you decided, well, I can't do this no more. Coach Greg, and in today's video, we're going to find out why fat people get so bloody fat.
It is from very poor lifestyle habits, of which most of the time there is an abundance of ultra-processed food viewed as food instead. They eat a predominant 60 to 70% of all their total daily nutrition in ultra-processed foods, which is why you should go get the Hunger Free and Happy app, because it helps you keep track of your percentage of ultra-processed foods. The description box below and pinned in the comments. It'll be pinned on the comment after this video is done. Very proud of the app, and I really, really, really suggest you download it. It will be up for iOS before too long. And by the way, even if you don't want to pay for it, which I do highly suggest, $9.99 a month, you get to have all the workout programs, all of the pre-recorded workouts, all of the live workouts. Yet alone, you get to join the Hunger Free and Happy group. Plus, there's going to be in multiple other groups. And you get to join the challenge. Right now, we're doing a dailies challenge along with hydration and stress relief challenge. So it reminds you to daily have some directed stress relief, daily get your hydration goals, those sorts of things. So please do check this out.
What exactly are they eating? And in comparison, what do thin people eat? People who are in shape. In this video, you're going to be shocked at the amount of food, the calories, the junk that people actually eat, while at the same time, you're going to understand that it's not actually their fault. I'm going to tell you who's to blame, who's not to blame. We're going to learn how.
That is where we're going to have a little difference, I believe. I didn't get to that portion of the video, but we'll probably have a difference of opinion in that.
How to eat a healthy diet to stay in a calorie deficit, what you can do, the tricks of the trade. And so let's just jump right into it.
My starting weight, 171.6. Ethan's starting weight.
We have got to the point where literally...
Ethan is also a very tall person. I believe he's lost like 200 some pounds. I don't believe he's done it very well. I do worry about regain for him.
42.2.
Now remember, he's 440 pounds, but he's already down 220. And so he's already gotten halfway there. And so this is amazing. He's clearly doing...
Not halfway. He should probably likely only weigh somewhere around 200 pounds, but semantics,
the thing, but it could be so much better. There's something I'm going to tell him to do that he hasn't thought of for some reason, and it literally will make the difference between him losing another 200 pounds versus him struggling to maintain.
Starting with the most important meal of the day, breakfast. Ethan.
Breakfast is not important. Ethan probably shouldn't be eating breakfast. just to be honest.
Are you excited?
I don't know what I'm looking at here, man.
And so Casey Kelly, who knows a lot about dieting, has a great diet. He is cooking some healthy recipes. He's clearly a competitor. I've done a video on him in the past. Remember, he's 100% natural. And so
I have no idea who the dude is.
he's teaching him the tricks of the trade.
250 grams of egg whites, 2 whole eggs, some tomatoes, some green onions. It's only 209.
That actually looks like a very good meal. I would probably have that closer to my midday, but looks like a very good meal.
99 calories and 40 grams of protein.
Bro, do you know how much protein and volume you can get for just 300 calories in comparison to the shit that you're making me? If you follow my diet and you eat as much as you can, you'll never weigh 660 pounds. It's impossible. You can't do it. It's essentially the same thing I've been teaching you guys from my cookbook for several years now. Low calorie, delicious meals for the big eater.
3
So this is where Greg and I differ, but also you got to understand that I think Doucette talks more towards the bodybuilding lifter type, and I coach predominantly people who have a very serious hard time with food, food addiction, disordered eating, those sorts of things, binge eating disorder. Most people that have a very serious problem with food, replacing ultra processed foods with the lower calorie ultra processed foods doesn't necessarily help them, especially if they still have the flavor of sweet, which most of them are addicted to. So I'm just going to argue that while that may be good for people who are trying to find voluminous foods that are lower calorie, which I do agree with, if you're going to use his book as maybe that's how you make your indulgence for the week, great. Like, I mean, if you want to make a low calorie cheesecake, I believe he's got a good recipe that they always talk about. I'm not saying he does. I'm not saying he doesn't. I've never seen the book. But what I can tell you is that very honestly, most people, especially somebody Ethan's size, Ethan should give up the idea that he should be like, basically using foods as enjoyment as much. He should be using foods that he can like to a certain degree for sustenance, for nutrition. And that is the difference between coaching for bodybuilders and coaching for people like Ethan.
apple Gouda brats, 5 scrambled eggs, and a mound of cheese.
And this is 1,800 calories.
1,800 calories and over 100 grams of fat. Is there actually a need? Bro, what's with all the cheese? One small tweak. If he were to convert this high-fat cheese into fat-free cheese or low-fat cheese, he automatically would lose weight. It's the little things.
No, he wouldn't automatically lose weight, but go ahead.
That really do add up. These are so simple to do, and so you don't have to stop eating the foods that you love. You just make them lower in calories.
The crazy.
If you are a binge eater or you have a food addiction, that love is not necessarily love, it's addiction. So please understand one more time, I believe Greg coaches people who are in the bodybuilding world and way more into fitness than people like Ethan. Ethan is a food addict. You know how I know? He was 700 pounds. Straight up. So just to be real, I do disagree there. Like Ethan should find foods that he can enjoy enough that he can eat them on a very regular basis and avoid the foods that cause him to regress and eat high volumes of food. Ethan should also very much get used to eating lower volumes of food. Looking for low calorie, high volume food for people who have binge eating disorder is a problem because you will still binge on it and it will still cause the same binge feelings. And eventually that shit's not going to be salad. So just putting that out there.
Part about this, they're the same amount of volume and it's 6 times the amount of calories.
Same volume, 6 times more calories, more fat in breakfast than I eat in my entire day. In fact, probably double the amount of fat that I eat in a day. And so if you
100 grams of fat in a day for an adult male, especially if there's no juicy vitamin assistance, your body does need to make hormones. But I can see 50 works.
Remember, fat has 9 calories per gram in comparison to carbs and protein only having 4. And so if you eat a lot of fat, it gets highly condensed. The bowls are the same size, but one has 300 calories and the other has 1,800. And so imagine if he tried to gain all that weight and instead was eating that lower calorie bowl. He would have to eat 6 of them to equal the same amount of calories.
But he could. But he could.
And so most likely, if he had 6 of those bowls in front of him, he would have probably stopped at 3 or 4, would have been full at 9 to 1,200 calories, and he would have called it a breakfast. But instead of that, he has the high calorie, high palatable foods, lots of carbs, lots of fat, and this is why he's so grossly overweight.
I utilize fasting a lot to lose weight. I was told that, like, with the fat burning, like, oh, go that long without eating, you burn more calories or whatever, you know?
And so the first years of his life, he had no clue what he was doing. He clearly wasn't watching Coach Greg, and so he fasted 20 hours a day. He was eating nothing, and he had a 4-hour window. And now I believe he gets up and has a 30-gram protein shake and that's it. Does any of this sound sustainable? You only
Yes, it does. Here's reality though. If you just all of a sudden switch to doing it, it's going to be very, very, very hard for you. I basically eat in a 4-hour window, and I used to eat all fucking day long. The 4-hour window is not something I ever put on a timer. We didn't put that on the Hunger Free and Happy app either. Like a lot of people are like, "Are you going to have a fasting timer on the app?" No, we're not, because it is like your body doesn't understand that. The idea is I don't eat until I am pretty hungry, and even then, I will start eating. I will start preparing my food just to get my nutrition in for the day, even if I'm not. The idea is to control your hunger, right? I spend the first majority of the morning hydrating my ass off. Hydration, 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 right? But this also is something where your body has to get used to it. Very frankly, Ethan really needs a lot of hydration. He's a very big man, and I think that he's probably underhydrating. He probably should be having at least 2 gallons of fluid in a day. He might hit that. I don't know. But he should be having at least 2 gallons of hydration a day. And I would honestly think that he should get somewhere around 5 to 6 liters of it before his midday. If you get 5 to 6 liters of fluid before your midday, then you eat at your midday, you're going to be pretty sustained until your evening meal. And that could be even 4 hours later. So if he spends the majority part of his day in the morning, getting most of his hydration in, 75% of it at least, and then he eats a high protein meal with a lot of fats and even some carbohydrates, as long as they're not sugary, sweet tasting carbohydrates, then he might be sustained for another 4 hours before he then eats another smaller meal. And it's a way for him to cut his calories down tremendously. If Ethan ate 2,000 calories, he could get all the nutrition his body would need, especially because his body would be burning fat like a fucking crazy person. And then it would be much better for him.
Can eat within a 4-hour window. You're getting up for breakfast. You only get a 30-gram shake. Bro is 6'4". He's a very large man. He's clearly starving all the time. He's suffering. And so
that's because of the way he's eating, though. That's the thing. He's probably radically underhydrated. He's probably very uncomfortable. He's probably addicted to the food. So even though he is nourished, he's probably still in his head thinking, I need this food, and that causes him to be starving. Like there's a certain mental aspect to it, right?
how long will he be able to do this? I mean, he's done a great job so far. He suffered his way through 2 years of losing over 200 pounds, but eventually all good things come to an end. If he doesn't find a solution, of which I'm going to explain it, he's only going to end up losing the weight and then eventually regaining it. We've all seen how this pans out on the 600-pound loser. You remember that show? The person who loses the most amount of weight.
It's My 600-Pound Life, and then there's Biggest Loser, but it's basically the same thing. I get him.
Then wins all this kinds of money, and then they regain all of it a couple of years later. That is in his future. I can forecast it because once the door.
Well, it's in people that have attained that size, especially people that don't get surgery and stuff like that. Not that I'm advocating for weight loss surgery, but people that have been close to 700 pounds, most of the time they get down a couple 100 pounds, which is, still good for them. But, it wouldn't surprise me if Ethan hit 350 pounds and then ballooned back up to 500 and kind of stayed there, So that's just statistically accurate.
Dopamine stops. I mean, think of it. He's getting millions of views watching these videos. All the fans commenting, supporting him. They're there for him. Then what? Without the fans, without the comments, the dopamine of seeing your body getting better all the time, once you just have to maintain, it's much more difficult.
And then we're going.
Well, I will say this: maintenance is much harder than losing the weight. Losing the weight, you have goals to hit. Like maintenance seems like it's not a goal. It just seems it's like a lifestyle, which is why Hunger Free and Happy is how you should live. Download the app, motherfuckers, because very honestly, it teaches you how to build healthy, sustainable lifestyle habits. And that's the entire goal of it, right? However, I don't think Ethan will ever get to his goal weight. I just don't. I've watched a few pieces of his content. He seems to be doing a lot of this for the fame more than anything. He really was convinced that he had a super high metabolism, blah, blah, blah. It's just because you're an enormous man. And I get where other people are coming from, like thinking like it's, it will be replacing it. Ethan will find a way to regain weight and start doing basically the Amberlynn Reid foodie beauty thing, right? I mean, that's what's going to happen, in my opinion, of course, unless he radically changes, unless he is the very serious anomaly, unless he starts taking this vastly more seriously, because I do believe he's cheating a lot. Like, it's been 2 years. You started at 660 pounds. Like, weight should just be flying off this motherfucker, like flying off of him. 660 pounds, you could be losing a pound a day at 660 pounds. Like, you could easily lose a pound a day for at least 6-7 months. And that would have already been like his first year should have been close to 200 pounds. And it wasn't. Like, I understand where other people think like, oh, he's doing a great job. 2 years, 220 pounds in. Like that means to me, like there's been a lot of like there's been loss of focus, and I will equate that to the social media portion of it, because very honestly, he does get more engagement, and this can be seen in his statistics. He does get more engagement when he has a setback more than anything, or when he's in denial.
To dump an entire bag of Mexican cheese right on top.
Entire bag of Doritos, entire bag of Mexican.
Yeah, it's simple.
And so
I used to say, if I hear AI, super easy to use.
eating an entire bag of Doritos required an entire bag of cheese. And so this is just stupidity, not knowing what he's doing. But
it's food addiction. It's not stupidity. He knows what he's doing. It's food addiction. Nobody can think that eating an entire bag of Cheetos or Doritos with a pound of cheese on it is healthy for them. Nobody. I mean, he is not a low IQ person, I don't believe. I mean, he's figured out how to work social media and basically go at people. He knows it's not healthy. It's not that he doesn't know what he's doing. There's no way he possibly thinks he should be eating a whole bag of Doritos and putting cheese on it. Now, Ethan also gained 20 to 25 pounds in less than a week. That likely has a lot to do. He probably had a binge predominantly of ultra processed foods, and he probably refilled a lot of his inflammation. So that's my thought process.
remember, he still has to be able to consume these calories. And so there's something wrong with his genetics. His ghrelin hormones, it's through the roof.
There's nothing wrong with his genetics. Unless he has Prader-Willi, which normally comes with a very serious case of stunted development, mental development, which he does not appear to have. And even then, Prader-Willi is basically the absence of the fullness cue. Like your brain doesn't send it down. Like it doesn't really happen.
A normal human being cannot eat this much food, or else they'll.
Yes, if that's how he's grown up, yes, it is. Especially because his stomach is probably enormous.
Feel full. They'll want to throw up. But in his case, remember, he was 200 pounds at only 9 years of age.
Well, that's abuse, but that's not genetics. That's just abuse. And it happens way more often than it should nowadays.
That doesn't happen by accident. A normal kid, if you say eat whatever you want, you can have cakes, candies, cookies, whatever. They're not going to be 200 pounds at 9. You can't really blame him.
Well, if he's around a bunch of, first of all, he is a bigger than average child. Obviously, he's 6'4" right now. And he does look to have a rather large frame, but I would imagine that his parents were fat as fuck also. So his parents set him up for failure. They probably were gluttons themselves. They probably pounded the food in, and they probably fed him to keep him, basically, quiet. So by saying this is genetic, you are giving this man an excuse that really should not happen. Like, there is no excuse. He's a fucking full ass on adult right now who I would imagine there's some sort of lying to his audience and even you and everything like that, because gluttons lie. And dear gluttons, you do. I lied about my food intake too,
But you probably could blame his parents. And so, A, if you're this fat as a child, it's your parents' fault. And to me, this is child abuse. And
it's like, but that means it's not his genetics. It's his parents' fault.
Or neglect. Imagine you've got a kid, he's 8 and he's 180 pounds. You're thinking, well, maybe I shouldn't feed him all these nachos, candies, and so on. It's going to affect his life. I would rather see a parent giving an 8-year-old cigarettes than allowing them to eat to the point of getting to 200 pounds. And so I think everyone would assume that if a parent's giving their child alcohol and cigarettes at 8 or 9 years of age, that's bad, that they probably shouldn't have children.
Absolutely.
This is no different. And in fact, you could argue that it's actually worse.
I would completely agree, but it does also negate your previous statement that it's genetic. Just putting that out there, just saying, not trying to argue with you, Greg, just putting it out that you just pretty much negated your own, it's his genetics bullshit.
I think you have enough sodium on that tray, dude. You gotta add some hot sauce on top.
Of course, you have to add some hot sauce on top. They're nachos.
Sodium's not a problem, especially if you drink enough water and you exercise and sweat it out.
Go crazy. Sodium.
I used to fall into that trap myself before, where I was worried about the sodium intake because I was still believing that the government wanted what's best for us. Sodium is not that big of a problem for people. I mean, I'm sure somebody Easton's size probably takes in, 10 grams of it a day. That might be a little high, but most people, even if you take like in 2 to 3 grams of sodium in a day, it's not going to be that big of a deal as long as you exercise and hydrate properly.
On top of your sodium.
I mean, I'm hearing a lot of talk about the sodium. The sodium is not really a big deal. For example, I
didn't know he was going to say that, but okay.
I
I agree.
extra sodium all the time. I sweat a lot during my cardio. And so unless you have some pre-existing disease, heart problems and so on, it's okay to eat a lot of salt. Yeah, it can retain some water weight. And so if you have high blood pressure, it could be bad. But overall, it really is the calories. Chicken noodle soup is loaded in sodium, but it's not high in calories. And so if you're eating chicken noodle soup, you're probably going to be in a deficit and you're going to lose weight despite the fact that it's loaded in sodium. Remember, sodium doesn't make you gain fat. It can only help you to retain water, of which you should be sweating out anyway when doing your cardio each and every day.
I got some hot sauce on this bowl right here for you. This is my famous, what I call the Preington.
And so Casey's protein bowl, I mean, it looks absolutely delicious. The only problem is I would need a bigger bowl than that, but you can't go wrong. He's having the lettuce, which is low in calories and high in fiber. It adds a lot of volume and it has some carbs from the rice. And of course, he's added his protein.
Volume eating is not something morbidly obese people should be thinking about doing. I'm telling you, you need to get used to sustaining yourself on the lowest volume of food possible. You need to be hunger-free and happy on the lowest volume of food as possible. You need to get your stomach over the course of many years to the point where you cannot ingest the type of volume you used to ingest. As long as you remain capable of ingesting that type of volume, eventually that shit will not be salad, especially if you are a binge eater. Eventually it will be ice cream, it will be donuts, it will be bread, it will be cheese, it'll be something that you have a problem binging. The thing is, for people that have been very seriously morbidly obese, or the thing that for people that have binge eating disorder like I do, you need to get your stomach to, over time, shrink down and get used to eating a much smaller volume of food. Because again, one more time, at some point in time, that shit's not going to be salad.
Meat. And so it's an amazing meal. And you can eat like that every single day. Now, it doesn't have to be that low in calories. It could be a little bit higher, but eating like Casey would be similar to eating like in my cookbook. In fact, there's more delicious recipes like cakes, candies, French toast, you name it, whatever your current.
Those should all be seen as low calorie options to an indulgence meal. That's how I view it. It's low calorie indulgence meal.
Favorite food is, it might be pizza, it might be nuggets, whatever. There's probably a recipe in here that has half of those calories. And so you get to eat what you want. It's just you experience cessation, being full, and you're not going to keep eating.
So would you say that's some sort of like addiction to food?
For sure.
Like just,
yes,
you can't get enough.
Yeah, I mean, I was 200 pounds by the time I was 9.
It's more than just a food addiction. He's saying, I couldn't experience fullness. I had to eat so much food to even know what being full felt like. We're all born with a certain genetic set point for body fat.
No, we are not.
Some people it's very high and some people it's very low. Some people they are never hungry. They look at food and they don't want to eat it. They eat half of a plate and they're done. I go to.
It is not about your genetics. It is about your mentality about it, right? If you change your mentality about it, if you change if you want the best thing I can tell you, start realizing that ultra processed foods are not actually food. Start like ultra processed foods are to nutrition what vodka is to hydration. Start thinking about it that way. Like ultra processed foods are not nutritious. They're actually a negative to you. Vodka is not hydration. It's actually a negative to you. Think about it that way. It is not your genetics. It is your actions, right? You are not at a set point. Like your habits can be catered to put you into a certain position as long as you are in a healthy range. Normally, if you're at an unhealthy range, it will, your body will try to push past, and nobody is unhealthy at like 12% body fat. Nobody is unhealthy at 12% body fat. Men, if between 10 and 20% body fat, you're fine. Women between 18 and 30, you're fine normally. Your waist to height ratio is what you should really go off of. Ethan still looks like he eats a lot of ultra processed food to me because his visceral fat is still extremely large.
Restaurants all the time, and I'm eating food, and I'm eating my second entree and my third because I'm trying to get full, and I'm watching other people, they're tapped out halfway through. Do you want dessert? Oh no, my goodness. And I'm like thinking, what do you mean you don't want dessert? You're not hungry? I'm full. And I'm like, but you only ate half of your entree. I had 3 entrees and I'm still hungry. And so,
well, that's because that's what your body is trained to do, Greg, because you literally just showed yourself on your bike. Apparently he bikes an absorbent amount of miles in a week, not to mention his workouts. Like you are trained, like you have trained your body to be wanting this food. Your body knows it's going to need it because it knows you were going to expend it. That is not a set point. That is what you've trained your body to expect. That's my point to you. It's not a set point thing. It is not this is not how your hunger is set to be. This is how you've trained your body to do so. This is why, Greg, if you would ever very seriously hurt yourself, which I do not want to have, like if you would blow your knee out or something like that, or you couldn't bike, you couldn't, cycle the way you normally do, which from what I understand, it is an insane amount of activity this man puts himself through because he likes it. No other reason. Congratulations to you. No shit. But if you would ever experience a time where you couldn't do that and you kept eating the way you do, you would gain body fat rather quickly. And that is reality because you have trained your body to be expecting these calories because your body is also expecting the output that it has. So it is not your genetics or anything like that. Although I'm not saying some people aren't genetically more predisposed to have a higher basal metabolic rate at the same height, same weight, same age as other people. That is true, but that is very, very, very within a very small range. It is not a big factor. Now, other people, may have lower stress levels. They may not get stressed at the same thing. There's many factors that come into the calories out thing. Calories out is based on your hormones, your cortisol levels, those sorts of things. However, the reason why you're always hungry is because you have trained your body to literally know that you are going to expend a shit ton of fucking calories, whereas the person sitting next to you very much may not. So while I understand where you're coming from, but I think you're viewing this through the lens of you bike 100 miles a week or something like that, plus your workouts, plus you're constantly active, plus you've been doing it for year after year after year after year after year. Right? Just like Ethan himself has been binging year after year after year after year after year. And that is what his body has gotten used to. He has been a binge eater literally most of his life, admitted food addict. So there's a difference. There's a humongous difference.
So some people, they just don't know what it's like to have food noise, to have cravings, to always be hungry. And so if you're one of those people and you're probably weighing 300-400 pounds, every time you try to go on a diet, you're just too hungry. You can't stick to your diet. It's not fair.
You can. You are just not hydrating properly. You are not getting yourself used to it. And you're probably pushing a little too hard on trying to get yourself down. If you are not used to eating 4,000 calories a day, drop down to 2,500 calories a day, try to make it all whole food. That's my thing. The best thing you can do for yourself is try to eliminate ultra-processed foods from your nutrition. Look at them as for pleasure only at best, just like you would vodka or alcohol. Ultra-processed foods, for pleasure only. Bread, pasta, those sorts of things, for pleasure only. If you start looking at it that way, and eat whole foods, you will be, especially if you have a protein fat focus, you will be definitely satiated much more. You may not be as satisfied because the food cravings and the food noise is probably going to be screaming at you because you have some sort of addiction to those things, both mentally and physically. But very realistically, you are going to be satiated at least if you hydrate properly, get proper sleep, and you eat all whole foods. You're going to be very much satiated at much lower calories than what you've likely been having if you're a 300 or 400 pound person. Just putting it out there.
Now, many times it could be resolved just by getting the cookbook and learning how to eat properly. Like if you're eating extra.
View Greg's cookbook. If you buy it, view the ultra-processed items that he has in there, the ultra-processed alternatives that he has in there as for pleasure only, because you do not want to all of a sudden get used to eating these things and then literally have it be where you're on vacation and you don't have the ability to make his recipes, which I have heard are very good. But you will then glutton yourself, gain 10 pounds, come home, weigh yourself, be upset with yourself, start binging and gain another fucking 20 or 30 pounds. And then it will start tumbling down. View ultra processed food of any kind, of any calorie as for pleasure only. View it that way. View it in the same care that you would alcohol because it's for pleasure only. I'm not saying don't buy his cookbook. If you want very low calorie alternatives to ultra processed foods that you can cook for yourself, get his cookbook. But start viewing all of those things as for pleasure only. And the data literally shows that ultra processed foods, no matter what, no matter how you want to look at them, are very deleterious to the human body and they fuck with your brain, all that shit. It's not good.
Barbecue sauce, salad dressings all the time. You're eating fatty condiments. You're having sugar drinks like regular pop instead of diet. You're eating Haagen-Dazs. You're having high-fat cheese, and you essentially just don't give a shit. You just eat like an asshole. Well, that is kind of on you. But if you're trying and you're still hungry, even with the cookbook, even though you're doing cardio,
drink more water, eat more protein and fat.
there is a better way.
I find myself, especially now that I'm conscious of it, constantly thinking about it.
Me too. Like I said, I haven't had a nacho cheese Dorito in that long.
These guys, the two of them,
Welcome to the
They're constantly thinking about food. It's on their brain all the time. One, because he's probably leaner than his body wants him to be. And the other, he just wasn't dealt a great hand. He was born to be 6'4", which is a freaking huge advantage, but he's very hungry. And so he's morbidly obese, which isn't fair.
That's not has nothing to do with how he's born. It's how he was raised and built his habits. Just saying.
It isn't cool. It isn't good. And how hard is it to diet when you're always hungry? He's always thinking about it. The food noise. You're trying to do some work. You're studying. You're trying to go about your day, trying to be productive. And all you can think of is some chips, ice, cakes, candies, cookie, burgers, fries, you name it. Imagine.
That's called addiction.
If you could turn that down. Turn the dial.
You can't turn it down. It's addiction. You need to deal with it.
Dial down a little bit. Hey, it's 25 degrees. It's too hot. What if I could put on some air conditioning? That is what it's like when you take a GLP. A GLP, for example,
and it is. I'm not saying it's not. Right? I'm not saying GLP isn't actually the hormone created by your body naturally to, in fact, help counteract ghrelin. I am saying that it is not something that should be looked at as a long-term solution. You need to build healthy habits. You absolutely, and we have tons of clients that use GLP-1s. They know that they know how I feel about this. They know that our goal is to, okay, now that you are not that hungry and hopefully not shitting yourself when you go to work, the idea is to build as healthy habits as humanly possible to wean yourself off of this and get off of it. Because adding an extra hormone to your body that in fact slows gastric emptying is very dangerous. It can lead to many serious things, and the side effects can be very, very, very serious. And I will say this, I'm just going to point this out. At some point in time in the near future, the amount of civil lawsuits, class action lawsuits that are already on are going to be nothing. Absolutely nothing. This is thank you very much. Would this hurt or affect diet or future goals? Where some days I have a snack cake, or even 9 days I have a soda, while most of the days eating healthy. I mean, it depends on how you look at it. If you plan it out and you're like, okay, I am going to have something sweet on the 7th day of every week, it might help you avoid cravings and giving into cravings the other 6 days, because then you just need to adult. That's why we have people plan indulgences. Literally on the Hunger Free and Happy app, there is an indulgence planner. And the reason why we put that in is because this way people can know, like, okay, I have a planned indulgence for this week. I am going to go out and have a piece of cake, or I'm going to go to Cold Stone Creamery or anything like that. I am starving for cookies right now, but I'm going to have something sweet later. So then you just need to adult. So as long as it is helping you avoid eating stuff like that every single day, I would say it's a very positive thing. And thank you for the tip.
Down the food noise, and you're no longer this hungry. Remember, if you're 660 pounds, you didn't get there from just eating.
By the way, it doesn't work like that for everybody. The 4-year follow-up study by Wegovy is 10% weight loss on average. That means for every person who loses 100 pounds, there's people that gain like 20 pounds. Just saying. Like, it is not a cure-all for everybody. And a huge portion of people, about 40% of people that go on GLP-1s can't take the side effects. So the side effects become lifestyle inhibitive. So just pointing that out.
Like a piece of shit. You got there for eating like a piece of shit because you were hungry. If you ever...
Yes, which is not as genetics, as you said earlier.
Try to force feed yourself and you're full, and then you try to eat more. You're tapped out. You physically can't do it. They can say, hey, I'll give you $1,000 per one slice of pizza that you eat. Eventually, you just can't eat anymore and you cannot gain any weight. For him, $1,000 per slice. How many extra pizzas do you got? Because I ain't getting full. And so they continue to gain weight. It's not his fault. And so that's why they...
It is absolutely his fault. He is a full ass on adult. It is absolutely his fault.
Made these medications.
It's important he realizes it's his fault so he can take personal responsibility, so he can unfuck his lifestyle. It is absolutely his fault.
Obesity, it's a disease. Not saying that you can't beat the disease without the medication. You can if you have extreme willpower, but there's medication to make it easier. And so if you're having difficulties, why not go to Algo RX? Guys,
I figured.
Minutes, you want to tap out, you're tired. With this, you're going to double it.
Okay. Well, everybody, go ahead and follow up. Finish watching the rest of Greg's video. Go to his channel. Subscribe if you haven't already. I think we're at what appears to be the advertisement section, which go to it. I'm telling you right now, go get the Hunger Free and Happy app. That's what we do. Here's the link to do so. But I will be back hopefully later on, or no, I'll be back tomorrow. Silkstream and I are not going to go live tonight, but I'll be back tomorrow, same time, and then I believe Wednesday, same time. I'm probably going to do a double tomorrow, Wednesday or Thursday, same time, and then Thursday evening, also at 6 p.m. Eastern time. So for all of you that are wondering, you can join the Hunger Free and Happy app on Google for free. And you still get to track all of your calories. And by the way, you get to see the ultra processing rating of food. We gave that to the free subscribers. You get to track your base activity. You get to track your hydration, your sleep, and you get to also see the insights into how much your averages are for 3 days, 7 day, 2 week, 1 month. And you get to track your measurements up and down. You have the calendar and everything like that. For $9.99, you get to have all of the workout programs, which are on there. There's many of them. There's EDDF volume training program. There's EDDF lean mass. We're putting push-pull legs yoga. There is tons of pre-recorded yoga, Pilates, HIIT training classes, dumbbell workouts on there that you get to watch videos to and follow through. And the workouts can be done like our workout programs can be done right on the app with timer on it. And there is things like the 75-20-20 protocol to help you develop healthy habits around your portion sizes and how fast you eat, which most people that like me that have problems with food, we eat way too fast. And it's important to remember to build up the habit of eating slowly. That way we don't eat past our fullness cue. So it does that. The indulgence planner, you can track your stress and stress relief. You can track your cravings and binges. For instance, I am 1,927 days, I believe, binge free according to the app. So thank you very much to everybody that's watching. Go download the Hunger Free and Happy app on Google, and it is coming on iOS very soon. God damn.